you don't. Good morning, everyone. It's Ellie and Carol, and today we wanted to do kind of a special recording just with everything going on in the world. We didn't want to get into all the fear and the negativity. However, we did want to talk about the term social distancing, which I think a lot of people are feeling, no, it shouldn't be called that. It should be called physical distancing, because the one great thing we have at our disposal is being able to be social through, FaceTime, through Zoom calls, through Skype, and it's so needed right now. So aside from just on a personal level, just being able to connect with people in business as well. And Ellie and I were talking the other day about the fact that kind of the words we use, there's power with that. So Ellie, maybe if you want to talk a little bit about kind of the hit you were getting about that.
Yeah, so the social distancing was the first one. It really, I think there are enough people around right now who are feeling isolated and scared without using, and I know it's the official term that's used by governments, so it's not to say don't listen to that. It's right. Just to say, reframe it. What's important here is the physical distancing, so for our own well-being. But absolutely, social distancing is not necessary. We can be social and absolutely should be social, connecting virtually, because that's good for our health. And on the language front, I see a lot of posts blaming the virus. And it's important that we don't give the power, our own power, away when we speak. So blaming a virus takes away the power we have to choose for ourselves in certain things. Of course, we cannot choose what a virus does to us, but we can certainly choose how to take care of ourselves and others so that it doesn't spread. So let's not disempower ourselves when we speak, but also when we think. I've also seen posts on like conspiracy theories that are xenophobic. So I guess what Carol and I are here to say today is make sure that when you say something or you hear something, especially in these times, that you ask yourself, is it true? Does it work for me? Is it good for me? And is it good for others? If not, there are ways of trying to understand the key principle around it and reframing it in a way that works better, like we just did for the social distancing. Physical distancing is hard, but it's not impossible. Social distancing is isolation. So that's a lot harder and probably not great. Carol, do you have any other ideas of like what you're...
Well, first of all of that was great, and yeah, I totally agree. And I've done many posts, as I've had, like many people have done this, talking about that your thoughts create your reality,
right?
And being mindful of your thoughts, and this is something that even is backed up by science. They've proven, when you're observing something, you're affecting the subject that you're observing. So trying to be mindful of your thoughts, it's scary. It is a scary time for people, but you can choose, like Ellie was talking about, we can choose how we react. We can choose the language we use around this. And this will pass at some point. And it's just important to keep that in mind and do what you can do.
Right.
And I'll be honest, I've had several conversations with people over the last week where people were in tears or scared, or sometimes it was just a release. I know I had it. There was one day I felt super antsy, and we're going through a grieving process. And I think a few people have talked about this as well. And I think when I heard that the first time, I thought, oh wow, that's true, because there's a lot of people saying, oh, I just can't wait for this to be over with and things go back to the way they were. Well, they're not going to go back. That world doesn't exist. And so it's kind of this grieving, even if you don't know it, if it's a subconscious thing, that's where the tears and the fears are coming from, not knowing what's going to happen. What is this world going to look like when we're done?
Yeah.
I honestly feel like, and this is not to discount the things that have been happening and the people who've gotten sick or lost their lives because of this. Um, all of that is awful and sad. I'm hoping that as we come out of this, there will be changes. The world will become a little bit kinder or more aware. That's the languaging I'm choosing to use.
Yeah, and I think it's about creating some kind of security, so people like for things to go back to the way they know them.
Mhm.
Um, and when we say they never will be, it's sort of scary. But it's not so much about saying, yeah, stay in your fear. It's never going to be the same. It's all awful. It's more a case of, instead of going back, we need to fall forward. So
Exactly.
yeah, some things will go back. And actually what would be good is if we've learned from this situation, that we apply that learning so that we
Mhm.
don't find ourselves in this situation again. So that
Exactly.
the security will come back, and the idea is to not fall back into our old habits that got us into this situation in the first place. So that's
Exactly.
one thing to reframe around that. And on creating our reality, I think one of the wishes I have for everybody, Carol, is not that they just feel not scared, and protective. One of the things, like, you guys are probably going to start living this in the UK. They're starting, but we've had it over the weeks, because between Italy and Spain, because we're just a little bit ahead of you guys in terms of the virus development, and people will act aggressively in supermarkets, in queues, in whatever. And instead of getting scared, or, like, remember that you can influence, you are empowered to influence the situation. So just reaching out and making somebody else's day can actually dissipate that level of fear and aggression. Coming in with it increases it. And so just being able to kind of be with it, give it space, voice it constructively, and then take on actions or a way of being when you're doing things that come from a different place. So it's important not to overlook, not to overstep the feelings, but to certainly not let the stories run. Just say, okay, fear is here and it's everywhere. What can I do about it? Well, I can run around acknowledging the fear and therefore creating comfort for myself and taking care of myself and others. So that's my wish, is that in this time where most people feel disempowered, that those of us who want to try can practice feeling more empowered about what is in our control.
Right, right. And you touched on something really important. I think it's so important to give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. I've seen some posts, at least your parents are alive, or at least this, or at least that. That's all true. This is not about comparing who has it
No.
better. When you're going through grief or fear, you're allowed to have those feelings. And it's not
Whatever
a
your
comparison
circumstance.
thing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't want to be stuck in that mode, but you're allowed to have those feelings. And so I've seen some, uh, shaming is too strong of a word, but I think it's an inadvertent shaming, like, oh, I guess I'm not allowed to feel this way because, I haven't had a death in my family, or I don't have, loved ones that are sick. This is so unprecedented. Nobody knows how to feel. So allow yourself that. And I think to end on, I think we're trying to keep this positive, and I think for me, anyone who knows me or has followed my content, we are divine beings, and it's hard for me to imagine that the universe is not going to support us
Yeah.
as divine beings. It's a time to kind of step into your power and spread
Mm,
your light. And like Ellie said, what can you do to make somebody's day?
right. And this is particularly important, both the language and spreading the light, when you're a parent. Because even if they look like they're just playing and not paying attention, kids are absorbing however we're choosing to take the situation and react to it.
Hmm.
And therefore, creating safety for them also means being able to create safety for ourselves. And that language is a real mirror of how we're actually feeling. So take care. Also, if you hear yourself saying something, like go away and think about it and be okay with what's going on and shift it.
Yeah.
So please stay safe, stay at home, be well. If you do have people to take care of, we're sending you lots of thoughts and lots of hugs and love, and hope everyone
Yes.
gets better.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.